Hi, welcome to Enter the Bunker, where we launch you into thriving. Each week we talk about a different virtue that can be used as a building brick to build your own personal bunkers. We share personal stories, as well as tips and tricks to help you thrive instead of survive. So sit down, relax, and enter the bunker.
Hello, and welcome to Enter the Bunker for part 2 of this week's building brick, which is confidence. My name's Kelly,
And I'm Jonathan.
and we're going to be going over how to become a more confident person. We have 3 tips. We'll say each one, and then we'll go over each one. 1, work on your strengths. 2, embrace who you are. And 3, believe you can.
Ooh.
Yeah, that last one's a good one. Okay, 1, work on your strengths. Some people are better at things than others, and those same people who are better at the specific thing will be worse at than others when it comes to a different skill. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. While it's important to always try to better yourself, sometimes you aren't wired or built that way. If you keep trying and failing at something, it can shatter your confidence. Over a long period of time, it is easy to go from, I am not good at this, to, I am not good at anything. That is why it is important to try to work on your strengths. You already know you are good at it, so become great at it. You will feel it and you will project an aurora of confidence. Once you have that feeling, it's a lot easier to find your way through the things that you aren't as good at. So, when it says the sentence here, over a long period of time, it's easy to go from I'm not good at this to I'm not good at anything. That can happen so quickly, too. Yeah. Just reading that sentence, I was like, yeah, been there.
Yeah.
Done that.
I think that happens. I think that happens to a lot of people.
Oh, and it can go I want to say like it can happen within 24 hours, but it can like happen within an hour if you like are just constant in your head and you're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And you don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all depends on working on your strengths.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
problem is that a lot of people, when they're put into a situation where, yeah, for example, you've talked about before how
Mhm.
you are quick to accept anything and just say, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. And
I
then sometimes you're
literally
just like, yeah, actually, I've never done that before, and I have no idea if I can.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that happens,
Mhm.
and but if you're but it's important that when you do look at something that it does play to your strengths,
Right.
because it's kind of like learning to ride a bike with training wheels, and once you get it, then everything else that comes along becomes easier, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that yeah, I think it's important that people play to their strengths initially so that they can build up their confidence. And then when it comes to the things they can't know or they that they're not that good at,
Yeah.
then it becomes something that they can actually like meet on without feeling crushed,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I'm just
So
yeah.
so I think in terms of like how you do this with working with your strengths, I would say, take a an inventory, so to
Mhm.
speak. It's like, what is it that I'm really good at? And if you're not sure about yourself, why don't you ask your friends
Yeah.
or ask someone you work with,
Yeah.
what do you think my strengths are?
Yeah.
Right. And see what kind of feedback you get.
Yeah.
And then from that, you can start to mold how you approach things in terms of like, I'm gonna make sure that when it comes to when it comes to these strengths, I'm going to place myself in situations where I'm utilizing that the most.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's going to help you to build the confidence you need to be able to then
Yeah.
go into other things.
I love that you said ask your friends because sometimes it's so hard to think of your own self. So asking your friends or your coworkers, I
Because
think I might just go do that just to find out what they think about me.
you're your own worst critic, right? So
Right.
sometimes it's hard to say what your strengths are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And also, I'm just curious too because I want to do better. So why not
Yeah, exactly.
ask? Maybe we can do like a little team building thing. Bring it to your workplace. All right. Number 2, embrace who you are. It's important to be confident when you don't know who you are, or worse, trying to be something or someone you're not. You will feel like a fraud. Therefore, it's important to know who you are and embrace it. Take a good look in the mirror and really come to terms with who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, and what you are good at. When you embrace who you are, you will then be able to carry yourself differently. You'll believe in your worth and your abilities and potential. Yeah. So I guess love yourself,
Y-
embrace you,
Yeah, it's important not just necessarily to love yourself, but know yourself.
know yourself. Yeah, that's
And
that's
and
better.
and and I think that I can really relate to this in terms of like
I have been having a hard time. So,
my business life. So embrace who you are. So a while back, I helped found a publicly traded company. I did all kinds of work, raised all kinds of money for them, and did all this kind of stuff. And I was on the circuit giving all these talks
hmm
and constantly pandering to big business,
right.
right? And at the same time, I was working on other things in regards to pure plays that was actually all about decentralization and actually helping individuals,
hmm
and small organizations and whatnot. And it was conflicting. And the truth was that when it came to me giving all these talks about big business and using blockchain and things like that, my heart was not in it. Like I knew like inside that I was just like, I'm saying all this stuff because I'm trying to sell it, but I just don't believe what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Like because I see a different future. Now, mind you, VC, venture capitalists and whatnot, they all have their own idea of what they want for a story.
hmm
Right. And that's what it comes down to all the time is like, what kind of story are you going to tell me that I could put money into that's going to make me more money?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I found myself a number of times conflicted,
hmm
not having the confidence I needed going into like I was talking to like multi-billion dollar like hedge funds and stuff like this and talking to them about what we were doing and building
Yeah.
dApps and whatnot. And I was having a lot of trouble with that because I knew that it was going to be good in some ways, but at the same time, it's like, who is this really serve? Who is
Right.
it? Who am I serving here?
Yeah.
And every time I knew the answer wasn't the answer I wanted,
Yeah.
so I I found myself struggling with this in terms of like embracing who I am. And in that period of time, I got so stressed out. I can remember my hair actually went grayer during that period of time. Like it was just so stressful. And
That's kind of what I was going to relate to too. Like you telling this, um, we kind of goes back to episode one where we talked about the salesman part. So like I don't know if you were selling something by the sounds of it. That's what kind of what you were doing. So you're not gonna, even if it was your job, you're not gonna do 100% at it because you're not loving it, and you're not. And that was the other thing is you're not gonna be happy at the end of the day. And
that's
like,
right.
do you know yourself? If have you embraced yourself if you're not happy? I guess at the end of the day. And
Yeah,
then you went on to say you're like I wasn't happy, and I was like that's what I was getting to. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, I've had all kinds of like growing up, I took all kinds of sales jobs
hmm
and tried all kinds of things. Some of them I was okay at, some of them I was great at,
yeah,
others I was horrible.
right.
Right. And it was primarily because
You lacked confidence in
I
it.
lacked the confidence in
Yeah,
what I was selling. Like I can remember there was like time I was doing phone sales,
yeah,
right? And it was just like I was just horrible at it. Like even though I could sound really good on the phone and whatnot,
yeah,
I clearly didn't have the confidence. And meanwhile, everybody around me was doing great. And I was just like, what is it I'm missing here? Like,
right.
and it was because I didn't have the confidence in what we were doing,
Yeah,
right? But then when it came to other kinds of positions where I was like face to face and things like that, I can remember I was working at the mall one time, working in a
hmm
sports store, selling sports clothes and things
right.
like that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I did fine with that,
yeah.
right? So
You're definitely more of an in person.
yeah, and so it was just a matter of what I was comfortable with in terms
Yeah,
of like my integrity,
right.
right? And so a lot of times some people get into a position where and I can understand where it's like, I just need a job of doing something,
Yeah.
but you get themselves if you put yourself into a position, this goes back to working with your strengths, right?
Mhm.
You put yourself in a position where you are not aligned with what it is that really matters to you. You're going to do horrible. You're not going to have the confidence to really do the job good.
Mhm.
You're going to end up probably either quitting or worse, getting fired
Yeah.
because you're not putting your all into it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of just really getting yourself aligned and embracing who you are
Mhm.
and making sure that wherever you're doing is aligned with that. And so again, it comes back to taking an inventory, I guess, like,
Yeah.
what is it that matters to you? How important is it? And,
Priorities too.
take a really good look in the mirror, like we just said,
Yeah.
and if that's aligned, then that's what's going to build your confidence.
Yeah. Great. Okay, this is number 3. Believe you can. Once you've accomplished the first 2 items, you must then believe you can in yourself, fully and without reservation. Your belief is one of the single most powerful tools you have. There's an old quote: whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. What this means is that your mindset, sorry, What this means is that it is your mindset that will determine success or failure. If you go into something thinking you won't succeed, there's a greater chance that will be true. So believe in yourself, give yourself no limits, and more often than not, you will succeed.
Yes.
Yes. I love that. Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.
I say that all the time to my son.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another quote, Yoda,
Yeah, I was going to say that's, yeah.
do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah.
Right. And so I say that all the time to him as well. And he
Yeah.
knows it. And yeah, it's an attitude of, it's an I can attitude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so important in terms of having confidence. It's so important in terms of being able to get things done.
Yes.
You know, like how often have you met somebody who has an I can't attitude, and so as soon as they do that, they just close all the doors to like them actually being able to put any kind of creativity or any kind of solution making into what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of like believe you can, that's all, it all comes from a mindset.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
So
believe
yeah.
in you.
whether you say you can, or you believe you can't, you're right. Right. And because if you say you can't, you'll make it so you can't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you say
we talked about this in the first episode too.
yeah, and if you say you can, you'll make it so
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
So it's
Might not be the first time,
no,
but you're going to keep trying because you're going to do it.
do or do not. There is no try.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I just believe that
Oh, see, I get what you're saying.
it's the I can attitude.
Right,
Right.
yes.
So I understand like some people like they say, well, like at least I tried, and it's just like, did you really? Did you get it done? Did you actually do it? Because then you can't like that's saying I
try
can't.
again.
Yeah. And then you actually do it. Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you really are a person who believes you can,
Yeah.
there is no try. There's
So
just
what do you say
do it.
instead? I tried really hard to make the chocolate chip cookies perfect this time. This is what I'm saying. I tried really hard, but instead of saying that, I could be like, next time the chocolate chip cookies are going to be perfect. Like I'm just telling myself, I'm going to do it because I didn't do it. It's already inedible. I tried and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's where I'm saying.
Well, let's go back to what we talked about in last episode
Yeah.
about how being okay to be wrong,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't make these right.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I mean. So just saying,
I
instead
know
of
I
saying,
can, I know I can.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it right next time.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
that's where I kind of went. So just kind of forget about the try. Just like, I'm going to get this right next time.
That's
I
right.
messed up this time. It's admitting. That goes back to another episode where
That's right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think people put too much. Maybe it is a little bit of a confidence thing, like putting stock in saying I tried. Getting a participation award.
For trying.
for
Yeah.
trying. Like
Yeah.
just because you actually did it, and I can appreciate that with somebody who's trying to build up.
Yeah.
But just because you tried, okay,
Mhm.
it doesn't end there.
No.
You didn't pass the finish line.
No.
Like you
Yeah.
have like somebody who tries
They
is
will succeed.
is going to keep going until they pass the finish line. So
Yeah.
it's like, so just think of it like a race, and
Mhm.
you only go so far, and then you're just like, you get tired halfway, and then you're just like, well, I tried. It's like,
no,
no, you didn't.
didn't.
You didn't finish it.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's a good way to put it.
so yeah, just whatever you're doing, just make sure you keep going until you cross the finish line. That's the I can attitude.
I like that. I like that. All right. So hopefully you learned something on how to be more confident in this episode. Be sure to tune in next week for tolerance. That'll be the building brick.
Excellent building brick.
An excellent building brick. You couldn't think of a fun thing to say, could you? Tolerance.
Well, I'll tolerate waiting until I see you there.
There you go. We'll see you then, guys.
See you then.
Thank you for listening to Enter the Bunker. Make sure to follow us on Instagram where you can share your story and also look at behind the scenes of how we make our podcast. You can watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube by simply searching Enter the Bunker. Tune in next time as we launch into thriving.